Hello, my name is Bruce. Welcome to my studio. Today we're going to paint a mountain scene. I have already prepared the canvas to a point. I've used Cobalt Blue and Cerulean Blue. Put the Cobalt Blue in each corner. Cerulean Blue with white. I made streaks to give it a little texture in the sky. And on the bottom I went left to right to give a little bit of smoothness because this area is going to end up being a lake. To start the mountains, we will just draw a silhouette or paint a silhouette, and what I'm using for the color, I'm using Cobalt Blue, and I'm also using a bit of white and black. Now all we're trying to do is create a silhouette. Now you can draw any silhouette that you wish. Just use your imagination. Unless you have a particular picture that you're following, that'll be fine. The whole idea is we're just trying to get to learn techniques. While I'm doing the silhouette, I'm also in my mind trying to shape the slopes that I may want after I put in highlights. So once the silhouette is done, what you first want to do before you start highlighting, in this area down here, you want to create sort of like a little mist. So what I do is just take a soft brush, I use a 1-inch brush, and I just pull down a little bit from the mountain into the white area of the canvas. Now it's going to be sort of darkish, but we're going to come back, once we've done this, we're going to come back with a touch of white and turn it into a more pale color. So I'm just going to take a touch of white on my brush, and I'm going to go back and do the exact same thing. And I'm going to keep cleaning my brush because we're pulling that paint from the mountain. There you go. Leave it at that for now. The mountain now is starting to form. You have your silhouette. Now what we have to do, we have to start putting in the highlights. The highlights, all you have to remember when you're doing highlights, you have one side that's going to be lit up from the sky. Let's say this side. Let's go left to right in this picture. So everything to the left is going to be a bit of light, and everything to the right is going to be darker with crevices in between. For the light, what I'm using is a white and a touch of red. And the way I load up my brush, I just put a very little paint on my blade. These palette knives will do all the work for you. What you do is you just touch your paint to the silhouette, and then let the paint do all the work, and the texture of the blade. There we go. The pressure of this blade is very little. You're just touching your canvas. Clean your palette knife off in between. And use your imagination just wherever you think a mountain should be. But the most important thing is, remember, just a wee bit of paint. And as you're doing it, maybe you want to create a little hill or a mountainside within this mountain range. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to take the paint that I have on my palette knife, and I'm just going to create a little hill. And that'll be sort of a hill at the bottom of the mountain. Now what you do is you go and do some highlighting, as a dark highlighting. And what I'm going to use for dark highlighting, I'm just going to use straight Cerulean Blue. And I'm going to use the palette knife that has a point to it. Actually, I'm going to add a little bit of white to that Cerulean Blue. All right, there we go. I'm going to find areas where I figure the shadow should be. And there's your mountain range. Now we're going to get into a bit of a scenery. First, what we're going to do, we're going to put a line of trees along the bottom of the mountain. What I'm going to use is a color of, I'm going to put burnt umber, cobalt blue, and a touch of white. I'm going to try that first. All we're doing is touching with this edge of the fan brush. I'm loading my paint up on both sides, and then I'm just touching and pulling up a bit. And don't be too skimpy on the paint. Every once in a while, clean your brush, because paint does start to pile up on your brush. In this area, as you notice, it's almost like a ruler effect across here. We don't want that. We want to break that up a little bit. So what we're going to do we're going to pull this color that you see, that you put down, into the paint. Just use your fan brush. Then take a soft brush and go over it. What this does is makes it like a reflection into the lake. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take and we're going to build in this little area here a mound with trees again, but closer this time. Same color, we're going to use burnt umber and cobalt blue. This is just a mound of dirt, like so. And I'm going to put a tree. The tree, I'm going to use a palette knife again, same brown, same little bit on your blade. One tree here, one tree here, and maybe one tree here. And I'm going to take palette knife again, or pardon me, I'm going to take the fan brush, and I'm going to load it up, and I'm just going to start touching, pushing, touching, pushing. And that'll give you the effect of little spruce trees. And take your clam brush, clean it off a little bit. Take your fan brush and pull some of these colors. Pardon me. Yeah, use this brush. This is a square brush. Works as good as a fan brush. Just pull them, the color, into the river, like so. Add a little color to this. I'm just going to add a little yellow ochre. Not much, just enough to break up the color. Same on the tree. I decided to make that one a little darker. Same procedure. This time I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to go down and pull it out. Pulling out the actual height of the trees in this little area in here. Now on the back side and the front side, we're going to create a little ledge of what could be sand, could be rocks, and all I'm doing is taking yellow ochre and white, and I'm going to create this is a little bit of a sandbar here. I'm going to take white, touch it up in there also, sandbar. From a distance, this looks like a little sandy beach in here, and a little bit of a sandbar here. In the front, we're going to paint a rock. With the rock color, I'm going to use a little bit different. I'm going to use burnt umber and Alizarin Crimson. I'm going to change the color as we come closer. Just going to put a rock in here like so. And I'm going to take my palette knife along with some yellow ochre, and I'm going to start shaping it. And I want this to go like a little arrow pointing toward the mountain. In this area here, I want to add a little bit of white along with the color of mixture of the rock, which is the burnt umber and the Alizarin Crimson. It sort of comes out like a palish gray. And we're going to use this for the area that meets the water. At the water level, just take a little bit of white and with a little touch of white at the bottom, like so. Now to break up this area in here, we're going to take a brush, rounded brush on the edge, like so, nice and soft. I'm just going to take straight black and I'm going to create some rocks. Just straight black, and I'm making little half moons. Various sizes. Then I'm going to take a clean brush, a nice flat brush like so. I'm just going to pull at the bottom of the stones, and what that's going to do is create like a dirty effect in the water, shadow. And just take a little bit of white or a little bit of yellow ochre and white and just touch these up a little bit, and they become stones in the water. Now they look a little lonely, so what I'm going to do, take the same brush, black, I'm going to put a few more out here, smaller ones. Same procedure. Pull that darkness into the water, and that's going to create like little sand underneath it. Go back with the white and ochre to highlight it a bit. You can also shape the rock at this time. And there's your little painting scene. I hope you've enjoyed it. You have your mountains, you have your trees, you have your rocks. There's only one thing left to do, and that is to take a palette knife and create a little bit of movement, more movement in the river. If you notice I've made streaks across here, that makes a movement in the river. What we're going to do is add a little more white, just a little streaks, and that'll make things look like it's moving a little faster. There you go, all finished. I hope you've enjoyed this little video, and thank you very much for watching. Until next time, happy painting.